I'm going to turn this $120 pile of wood into this rustic D&D and dining table to hopefully show you that you can too. And boy, I hope you're seeing a cool table right now, because I actually don't know if I can do this. The idea is that when the top is on, it looks like a regular farmhouse dining table, but hidden away underneath is a magical world full of mystery and make-believe, or realistically, a bunch of stuff I didn't clean up. There's just one problem though: I have zero experience building any furniture. But if you're watching this, I'm sure future Kelly figured it out and there weren't any catastrophic accidents, right? And I'm sure past Kelly wrote a segue to our sponsor. Segue to sponsor. We'll do that later. Dang it. Well, Describe is sponsoring this video, and I'm looking forward to showing you what they've been building a bit later in the video. But first, we've got some building of our own to do. Welcome to the table. I'm Kelly, and you know what they say: clear eyes, full heart, any fingers. The first thing I need to do is come up with a design. Now, I could use one of the many designs that are already out there, but because I have the unbridled confidence of an only child, I feel like I can do it better despite having zero experience.
Who do you bloody think you are?
Now, as many of you know, I already have a D&D table. I sit at it in almost every video, and it's awesome. But there are a few things about it that don't work for me, and the main one is the size. We have a very small house, and this table is just way too big. We can't even sit comfortably around it because it's a jam between the bookshelf and the couch, and realistically, I don't have 8 friends. So this new table will be 3 feet by 6 feet, and it'll sit 6 people. The next problem is that we can't use this as a dining table. It's uncomfortably tall, and there's no cover because of the built-in dice trays. So the new table is going to be at a normal 30-inch height, and you'll be able to remove the tabletop to reveal the gaming surface underneath. And finally, there's this big shelf underneath, which is nice for storage, but it means you can't get your chair that close because your feet hit the shelf. So I'll need to figure out how to stabilize the legs without any kind of trestle or stringer underneath. And one tiny bonus thing I'd like to fix is that dice often get cocked because they roll into the gap between the padding and the sidewall. Okay, I'm gonna go watch a bunch of furniture building YouTube videos and try and make a design in Blender.
I know Kung Fu.
Alright, I've got a design that I'm pretty happy with, and I spoke to 3 different people who know more than I do about woodworking and got 3 different opinions, but none of them said, "This is terrible, don't do this." So I think we're on the right track. And now for the scariest part of the whole project: going to the lumberyard and pretending that I know what I'm doing. Let's go get some wood. Now I'm dressed for the occasion. Did I mention I've only got 3 days to build this? I committed to posting this video on June 4th, and then my calendar completely filled up. We're already well into day 1, so I gotta get going. 2 planes. What is this, a Bob World Builder video? If I'm gonna stand any chance of completing this, I need to get everything except the tabletop assembled by the end of the day. Let's get to it. Luckily, there aren't that many cuts to do, so it seems attainable. First, I cut the 4x4s into 27 3/4 inch lengths for the legs. Next, I cut the 2x4s to length for the side frame of the table with 45-degree cuts so they'll fit together nicely. I clamped a straight edge to the sheet and used a circular saw to make the cut. After cutting it to size, I cut out notches for the table legs. The last few cuts I needed to make were notches in all of the 2x4s. I want to hide the edge of the plywood, so I'm insetting it into the 2x4 frame. Future Kelly here. If you got to this part of the video and you're thinking, I don't have any of these tools, there's no way I can do this. Well, I actually borrowed almost all of these tools from friends, family, and coworkers. I've had experience with using them before, but none of them are actually mine. So ask around and chances are someone will be able to help you out. Also, at the end of the video, I'm gonna be going over some changes that you can make to make this project way easier. And I think with those changes, you could do the whole thing with just a circular saw. You don't need to glue a tabletop together or anything. All right, back to the video. Did I measure everything correctly? Can I even cut accurate miter cuts? Well, we're about to find out. I'm gonna try and put this thing together. Turns out the answer is no. I cannot cut accurate miter cuts. But but I did manage to get it assembled. I used some corner clamps and glued 2 corners at a time and wrestled it together. After gluing the 2x4s, I put the plywood on and pre-drilled all the holes. Then I glued and screwed the plywood to the 2x4 frame. I was making really great progress on day 1, but little did I know I was about to lose a whole day of work. While the glue dries, I'm going to build an adventure setting for my first adventure that I'm going to run in my new table. I'm going to build out a mini setting in 60 seconds using the sponsor of today's video, Describe. Describe has been busy building something new too. They built a new search engine that's way easier to use. Their new search engine uses a natural language algorithm so you can search by context and mood rather than just matching keywords. Alright, the core of this location is a little starting town with surrounding adventure areas. I think it's going to be on a river, so I'm going to search River Village, and I like this one, Riverside Border Town in the summer. Now I need 3 adventuring locations. I'm gonna pick a forest. Approach to abandoned house came up in the forest search, and I like that one. Now I'm gonna pick some kind of shrine. Crypt of a vampire hunter, that sounds very cool. And lastly, I'm gonna pick something spooky, a spirit's lair. That sounds pretty good. Now I'm going to create a block for all my NPCs and just put down 5 NPC names and 2-word descriptors for each. And for each location block, I'm going to add some ambience and music tracks so they'll be right there when I need them. And that's it. This is an awesome foundation. Now I just need to find some stat blocks, come up with some secrets and clues, and figure out what the adventure hook is that'll draw the players in. But that's pretty good for 60 seconds of prep. If you want to try Describe, use the code PowerWordSpill at checkout to get an extended 30-day free trial. You can check out the link below. I just hope I'll actually have a table to play this adventure at. We'll see. That is the end of day 1. I learned 2 things today. 1, I cannot cut very accurate miter cuts, and 2, the material I'm using for my table legs is not square. I don't know what the consequences are of that, but I think I'm about to find out. Gonna be honest, I was pretty discouraged in the middle of the day when all my miter cuts didn't line up and I was trying to glue everything together and it was just coming off at all crazy angles, but I managed to glue it together 1 corner at a time. It all seems to be holding. For now, at least. I didn't get as far as I wanted to today, but I almost got there. Hopefully tomorrow will go better. I woke up on day 2 to the sound of pouring rain on the roof. It made me really wish I had a garage to work in. Losing an entire day to rain was definitely not part of the plan. Well, it just means that I'm gonna have to get a lot done on day 3. Welcome to day 3. Probably not the last day of this project because I still have so much to do. And we're off to a bad start because I had to go grab a couple things from the hardware store, and man, that place is like a black hole for money and time. I went in there to grab something quickly and it had been an hour and I spent $100. So anyways, I'm gonna start today with the thing I've been the most afraid of, which is honestly where this whole thing could fall apart, and that is making the tabletop. I have never built any furniture, and I've especially never built a tabletop, but I bought a biscuit joiner and gonna figure out how to use that. I watched a YouTube video. It seems possible. I have no idea how much we're gonna get done today, but I really need to get pretty much all of it done today, so let's get to it. First, I arranged the 2x10s so the color and grain of the boards mostly matched. Next, I marked lines across the boards so I'd know where to cut, and I numbered the boards as well. Then I used this biscuit cutter for the first time to cut biscuit holes. It was extremely easy to use. It's my new favorite tool. After checking everything lined up, I glued and inserted biscuits one at a time and then clamped the whole thing together using these long parallel clamps that I borrowed from my coworker Jay. Thanks, Jay. Next, it was time to attach the legs to the table and find out the consequences of none of them being square. I measured and pre-drilled 4 screws per leg and offset them vertically so they wouldn't collide inside of the post. Loren helped me flip the table and it was rock solid. No consequences. Except that you can tell the legs aren't straight when you look at it from certain angles, but we won't talk about that. The last thing I managed to get done was cutting the corner braces and notching them. You'll see what the notches are for soon. It's the end of the 3rd day, and clearly my table is not finished, but it is looking so much like a table. I'm so excited that so far things have worked out. The table is standing, it's not wobbly, it's super solid, and I haven't even attached the cross braces yet. The tabletop is looking surprisingly pretty flat despite some of the boards being warped. So overall, I'm just feeling so happy after the 3rd day, even though it's not finished. So I'm gonna have to put in some hours here and there over the next few days to actually get this finished. I've got to do all the sanding, the staining, and then put a clear coat on. But to be honest, there's not a lot that could go super wrong at this point, so I think I'm gonna end up with a table, which I'm so excited about, and I wasn't totally sure that I was gonna be able to do this, so very pleased. After I completely finish it, I'm gonna go over everything that I learned and what I would do differently if I was to do this again, because I think I made it way harder on myself than it needed to be. There are a few design changes that I'd make that would make this way easier to make, and I'll also go through exactly how much I spent, including the tools I bought, what I borrowed, down to screws and everything else. Okay, let's finish this. After letting the glue dry on the tabletop, it was time to cut it down to length, and then in half so it's not too heavy to put on and take off the table. To procrastinate starting the sanding, I cut triangles from the leftover plywood to cover up where the posts come through the play area and cap off the corner braces. Those notches are to hide the edge of the plywood for these triangles. I glued those down and let them dry. Then it was time to sand and sand and sand and sand and sand.
I don't like sand. It's coarse, rough, and irritating, and gets everywhere.
I forgot how much I don't like sanding. After sanding everything, I mixed up a stain color to match the wood in our house using water-based stain and wiped it on with a cloth. With more rain in the forecast, I worked into the night to get both coats of stain on before the rain arrived. I used a water-based clear coat and it was super easy to put on. I put Critical Role's Campaign 4 on in my headphones and just went to work applying 3 coats. For the fabric, I was lucky to find a roll of neoprene at work they said I could just have, but you can also buy sheets of neoprene with fabric on it in this size for about $80. My big brain idea was to cut it an inch bigger than I needed on all sides and then trim it in place, but it turns out it's really hard to cut neoprene without tearing it. I'll probably add some sort of black trim in the future to hide the ragged edge. And with that, it's finished. I'm so happy with how this has turned out, and honestly, I'm a little surprised that it actually looks pretty good. So, how much did I spend in total? How long did it actually take? What can you do to make it way easier? What accessories do I have planned? And did it actually solve the problem that I set out to solve, or was it a huge waste of time? In total, soup to nuts, as my dad would say, I spent $494.65 Canadian, or about $360 US. You can pause here to look at the detailed breakdown. I divided it into materials on the left and tools on the right, and I listed what I already had or borrowed and what I bought. Overall, still way cheaper than buying a table like this. Maybe not if you count my time though, but if I wasn't doing this, what would I be doing? Actually playing D&D? Oh. Yeah, that would have been pretty good. I set out to make this in 3 days, and the total amount of actual work time, not including waiting for stain or clear coat to dry, and not including time spent at the hardware store because time exists differently there, it took me a total of 36 hours. So it turns out that 3 days was completely unrealistic from the start, but that's a classic Kelly move though. Estimate half, take double. It has not served me well. But I could have saved a ton of time by making 4 design changes. And if you want to build this table, this is what I'd recommend. First, and the absolute biggest time saver, don't make your own tabletop. It turns out that they make pre-finished plywood, and it's not even that expensive. It's perfectly flat, it's pre-stained, pre-varnished, everything. You just cut it to size and add some veneer on the edges. Second, don't do 45-degree angle cuts for the outside frame. Once it's sanded, butt joints will look just fine. Third, cutting all the notches to recess the plywood is overkill. Just slap that puppy on the bottom and, well, don't slap puppies, but just put it on the bottom, and if the edge bothers you, you can hide it with some iron-on veneer. And fourth, I really don't think you need corner braces. This table was rock solid before I added them, and I didn't even screw them to the posts, so they're not even really doing their job. They're mostly just decorative for hiding the posts, but if you don't mind that look, then you can avoid doing any 45-degree angle cuts and do it with a circular saw or just a regular chop saw. And you also get to avoid making these finicky little triangles. With those changes, I think you could do this whole project with just a drill, a circular saw, and an orbital sander if you want to avoid hand sanding. If you do want to build this yourself and you want my designs, comment on the Patreon post that's linked down below. If it gets 1 comment, I will convert all of my chicken scratch notes into some easy to follow plans and put them up there. Although I'm finished for now, I'm not finished. I have a bunch of ideas for accessories, like little tables for character sheets, an expandable DM area, cup holders, and phone and tablet holders. Since the frame is just 2x4s, everything can clip onto the edge, and it's easy to make it really modular. If people are interested, maybe I'll do a follow-up in the future. Before I answer the big question of, was this all a waste of time? If you enjoyed this, hit the subscribe button down below. I'd really appreciate it. So, does this new table solve my problems? Well, it can't magically make a group of adults in their 30s always available for D&D, but other than that, yes. We can comfortably eat at it, it fits much better in the space, there's nothing to bang your shins on, and despite there still being a gap in the foam, dice don't get stuck in there. So yes, it was worth it, but boy am I glad I'm done. If you enjoyed watching me build something, then maybe check out this video here where I build a wooden DM screen with a built-in monitor using only hand tools. I appreciate you.